Oh, well, that's what happens with the lives. So we were live, and then we were not live. All right. So, talking about self esteem and creating your self esteem base. And this base gets built on things that I can't take from you. Okay. So, like I was saying, I can take your car and your house and your clothes and your books and your movies, all those things. But what are some things that I can't take from you? I can't take whether you're kind, whether you're dependable, whether you're caring. Um, I can't take some talents you can't take. Now, talents is a little tricky. Like if you're really good at cooking or really good at cleaning or puzzles or cars, you can add those into your base. This is going to be the mixture of your base. This is what we're going to stand on. Okay. The thing about talents is like my Nana, um, she had a lot of talents. She did a lot of crafts. And she also did like that little teeny tiny needle point where they do that little tiny crisscross thing and they make pictures out of it. But in her 80s, she ended up having a stroke and she couldn't do it anymore. So it's a little tricky to add in that, but you can add in some talents um, because technically I can't fully take your talents away, still part of you. But I want it to be things that if I was to stand you over there on your base, completely naked with nothing, what's left? What's left? What's left is you, the real you, the genuine part of you, the part of you that has ultimate worth, okay? And that has your qualities in it. So if you're a person who likes to help others, that's a quality. That's part of you. That's genuinely who you are. If you are sensitive to others, that's genuinely who you are. You're a good person. You like to help people. Maybe you like to see the good in people. That's genuinely who you are. Yeah. So yeah, the talent thing is, um, if you have talents, even if you were to lose those talents, you still would be creative. Like my Nana was very creative. She liked to have a lot of fun. Um, she had like a zest for life. That's something that can't be taken from her, even after her strokes. That was part of her. Okay. So you're going to make this base, and these are the things that are going to be on your base. These are what you're going to stand on. So, what you do with that then is anytime anyone says anything to you that's negative in nature, or anytime you say something to yourself that's negative in nature, because a lot of times we will pick up where our parents left off. And a lot of times our parents haven't even left off yet um, before we start to pick up on, if our parents weren't so nice to us before they even stop that behavior, if they stop that behavior, we will start to nitpick ourselves, to not be so nice to ourselves. A lot of times we pick up that behavior in childhood, way before we even leave our parents, right? So, what you say to you is also really important, and it's important to return to that base. Okay? No matter what somebody says to you, how somebody looks at you, comments that are made, and your own thoughts. So what this looks like is this. So I've created my base. I know who I am, and I know that that doesn't include any of the material things in the world. I know who I am deep down inside. And I also know that no matter how somebody tries, they really can't take these things from me. I'm still going to be somebody that wants to help others, regardless of what anybody says. That's just part of who I am, right? So then if somebody says something to me, I kind of check it on my base. I kind of take what they've said and I think about it. I'm like, okay, so I'm a selfish, da da da, no good, blah blah blah. Really? No. And I check out my base and what's in there. And I realize those things in my base are still true. I'm still kind. I'm still caring. I'm still a good person. I'm still dependable. Nope. And I literally don't listen to what either somebody has just said or even what I've said to myself. I literally don't listen to it. I go back to my base, I check my base, and I say, nope, I'm going to stand right here in the middle of my base. I'm not going to move and I'm not going to budge. This is where I'm at and this is who I am. Okay? So that's how you do it. First, you have to make your base and you have to figure out what your base made of. And then, 1,000 times a day, go back to that base. Check that base. See, does what that other person match with what you've made your base of? And if it doesn't match, you disregard it. You don't listen to it and you don't take it in. Okay? And that's pretty much how I do it. And I'm pretty good at it because I've been practicing it for a while now. So now I'm at the point where it doesn't really matter to me what other people say, what other people think. It doesn't really bother me. So does this make sense for you, Tina? I want to make sure that it makes sense, that you understand that. And that you see how you can apply it in your life. Because I can tell you all these things, but I want to make sure that everybody can understand it, that you can apply it to your life. Okay? So that's one thing that I do. The other thing that is important to do is to look at words. Okay, so another part of this book, he talks about the words and, the story of the little girl where she took the mom's words in personally. She listened to them, she believed them, and then she never sang again. Is, we think that words don't hurt, but words really do have power. But they only have power if you let them have power. They only have power if you let them into you, inside of you. So one of the things I do is I actually will sometimes just kind of almost look at the words like outside of me. So let's say if somebody was to say that I was stupid and I was lazy, I kind of look at, I'm stupid and I'm lazy. No, I'm not either one of those. And that's where I drop it. I literally like drop it. Don't let it go any further. I don't rethink it. I don't mull it over in my mind. I don't play it again. I don't do those things. Because if you do that, then some of it's going to seep in, right? If I start playing that word stupid in my mind, then there's going to be a little kind of leak or a loophole in there somewhere. And some of it's going to get inside of me. And then it is going to affect my emotions. It's going to affect my mood. It's going to affect how I think about myself, how much I care about myself. I don't want any of that to happen. So the other thing is the meanings that you attach to words, right? So words have meanings, and the meanings are different for everybody. Okay, so for one person, the word stupid might be a trigger. The other one, shut up, might be a trigger. Um, just stop might be a trigger. And it's because of the meaning they have attached behind the word, right? So you have to look at what meanings are you attaching to words. So like what I'll explain is the word dog, for example. It's just a basic word. It's a 3-letter word. It's not a big word. But that word, for me, I don't really hate dogs. When I was a kid, I had a bunch of dogs, and my dad always had a dog. Um, and I would spend hours and hours training them. But I don't really like them. I don't really like dogs. I don't really care for them. I don't, it's not that I hate them or anything, but I just I don't like dogs. Um, but if I say that word to somebody else, they love their dogs. They sleep with them, they cuddle them, they hold them, they eat with them, they buy clothes for them. It's the same word, 2 different meanings. Okay? So you have to also examine the meaning you're attaching to words. A lot of times it's not the word necessarily, it's the meaning you have behind the word. That's the problem. So that's another thing to look at when you're looking at emotions and reacting. Usually, if you're going to have a reaction and it's because of a set of words, it's the story you have attached to those words. And you're reacting to the story more than you're reacting to what was actually said. Okay? So, I was trying to see if we have, okay. So tell me, is intuition emotion? It should be. Is Tanya still having problems like joining? Is intuition emotion or something else? They're similar. They are similar. Intuition and emotions are similar. Um, but treating them as emotions, no. The key to the emotions, what I'm telling you guys is emotions come and go. They're going to come and go. We are emotion. That's what we are. We are literally one emotion after another, walking around pretending we don't have any. I think Deepak has a talk about that where he says that. We are literally one emotion after another, but we're walking around pretending we don't have any. I'm fine. I'm good. Don't bother me none. Right? No, it really did bother you. It bothered you a lot. So emotions are just this energy state, but we are one energy state after another because we are energy. That's what everything is. So within us is this constant flowing energy state. And it's either a happy state or not a happy state, okay? So emotions are not the same as intuition. They're similar, but they're not the same. Emotions are a guidance system. They are. That's what they're meant to be. They're not supposed to be something that brings you down and keeps you stuck and do all that, but they are a guidance system. Okay? Now, intuition is having an inner knowing with no reason for having that knowing. That's so it can come through as a sensation, it can come through as a feeling, but that's where they differ a little bit. Is emotions normally have a reason for their being there, for their being, for their existence. They normally have a reason. So um, they are normally a reaction to something. Now, they might not be the full behavior reaction where you're jumping up and down, but there's still a reaction of sorts. Intuition is an inner sense of knowing, but there's no reason that you really should have that knowing. So this is thinking about somebody and they're going to call. This is thinking, you know, I should just stay home today. I shouldn't go anywhere. And then there's some bad accident. That's intuition. That's a guidance system, but it's more of it's always to help. Always. It is always, always to help. Okay? And it's always to guide you, warn you, and tuning into your emotions, tuning into your intuition they require both the same thing, which is learning to stop, learning to pay attention, taking note of, so observing. Observing is, to me, the best skill that you could have. It's one of the best skills. When I was growing up, my mom used to always say that my grandpa would say this. Now, I never heard him say it, but apparently he said it, is it was better to listen than to talk. And so while I'm talking here and talking a lot, I did that. I always remembered that that's something that he said and that she said several times. It's always better to listen. So it becomes an observance. That's a listening, right? Listening to, what am I feeling inside? What is this emotion that I'm having right now? Noticing that emotion, naming it, okay? Now, emotions, so you have emotions, which is the energy state that you're experiencing, but the feeling is actually the name we give to the emotion, right? So we use those words interchangeably, like feeling, emotion, but feelings, what I have found, is normally the name to the emotion. Anger, sadness, depression, jealousy, these things, okay? So, but the more that you can just kind of stop and pause and say, oh, I'm definitely feeling some anger. Notice that emotion. Pay attention to it. Give it its name. Acknowledge it. That in itself lessens it, okay? When we stop hiding and running from these emotions and we become aware of them and we start to just let them be, they become less intense. And the key with that, again, you guys, the key is knowing it's going to pass. It's not going to stay. It will pass. It will pass. There are some that last longer. Depression tends to be one that lingers for a long time, and it can kind of become a personality thing. But all these other emotions, even depression and sadness, they will change. Okay, you will have a happy moment. It's going to change. Intuition is the same way. So the key with intuition is also observing. It's also stopping and listening. Like, okay, I have the feeling I shouldn't go there. Why do I have that feeling? That's a crazy feeling. Why am I having that thought? I can go there. It's fine, right? That's what we normally do. We talk ourselves out of the message we got. We talk ourselves out of it. We think it's not rational. Oh, it's fine. I can go there. Well, you got an inner sense for a reason. So building that means stopping, paying attention, and listening to it, and then learning to actually follow it. So even me, I've been reading people for years. I've been doing this for over 20 years doing the psychic medium thing and getting messages. So they can, like I said, it can feel like an emotion, it can feel like a sensation. A lot of times it's just a thought. They will use your thoughts as ways to, so you will hear it in your mind's eye, and you won't necessarily say it with your words, but you'll hear it, like, don't go there, call mom, those things. That's hearing it in your mind's eye. Um, but even me, after doing this for so many years, I think the biggest one I had was about 3 years ago, where I kept getting a message for almost 6 months about being fired. And I mean, I'm not going to be fired from my, it's just not going to happen. Um, and I kept saying, nope, 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 nope. And I kept hearing every day, you're going to be fired. You're fired. You're going to be. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, it turned out it wasn't me. It was somebody in my family. And they got fired. And they had been at that job for 17 years. But I refused to stop and listen. So when you get those messages, when you get those feelings, if you want that ability to grow, you have to learn to stop and listen. Um, you can even, you can just remember, or you can even start writing it down when it happens. And it's something that I kind of wish that I did. I didn't do, but I kind of wish that I did, that I kind of wrote it down so that I could see. I mean, I wrote some of it down, but I could see like how it progressed over the years. Because I remember in the beginning, I would get little things. A lot of times what I would get in the beginning was, I would think about scenarios that had already happened, and then the person in the scenario would end up calling me on the phone. And that's normally how I got it in the beginning, but I wasn't linking it. I wasn't like having a thought. I would have a thought about my brother, and then a couple minutes later he would call me. What I needed to do was link those two. I needed to link the fact that I was thinking of him, so they were making me think of him, and then he was calling me. So it's also about paying attention and then linking. So if you have a thought about somebody out of the blue, you might say, I wonder if they're going to call, or should I call them? Okay. So that's a way to do that, and how to tune into it more. We all have that ability. Everybody has that ability. We all have intuition. It is because we and everything is energy, which if you guys want, uh, I can explain the whole energy thing like next week. But because we are energy and everything is energy, there is what I call, and it can run through our chakra system. If you don't know about chakras, we can talk about that too. But the chakra system are energy centers within the body, and it's what I call our direct link. So to me, this is our direct phone line to God. It's our direct connection to Him. So one thing that I've told my kids many times is, would I or would you, send your kid halfway around the world with no way to communicate to them? Would you send them to China, to Africa, Japan, and no way to talk to them? No phone, no email, messenger, letters, post, nothing. No way to talk to them whatsoever. You wouldn't do that. So why would God do that to us? Why wouldn't He make a way to talk to us? We are Him. We are of Him. We are of Source. You can call it God. You can call it Source, Spirit, Universe, whatever you want to call it. There is still one main source, and we are of it. And why would they send us here with no way to talk to them? You wouldn't do that to your own kid. So to me, this is our direct phone line to him, to God. And that's what your intuition is. That's what psychic ability is. It's just simply the way that God communicates to us, that he helps us out. And right now, um, on the planet, there are many more people who would have never even thought about this kind of thing or do this kind of thing, that are waking up to it, that are becoming more awake right now, particularly right now at this time. So, Candace, does she want to know more? You want to become my moderator for me, Can? Because I can't see the messages. You can become my moderator. Um, so, yes, the intuition and the psychic ability thing, those are things that we can talk about. What I want you to know is that we are all part of this one source, and we are all connected, and we are connected to it, and it never leaves us, it never separates from us. It feels like that in life because of what we go through, and some of us feel that more, that disconnect more than others. And what I've learned is that all of those difficult things, while I could have had a life where they didn't happen, um, I needed those things to happen to bring me to where I am today, to make me who I am today, for me to have the understanding that I have and the compassion that I have. Without all of those things in my life, I couldn't understand the way that I do. I couldn't have the compassion the way that I do. I couldn't relate to people the way that I do. Okay. So, and I think that even if you have, you know, the best life, and if you were a princess and you're in a castle and you got all the money in the world and all these great things, that you will still to some extent experience these life events, in one way or another. Because unfortunately, right now, we still don't really learn from our happiness. Now, my hope is that one day we will on this planet. But right now, we don't. We learn from our hard times. We learn from our painful events. That's how we learn. And my hope is that we're going to get to a society where we don't have to do that anymore. And there are many events in my life that I think I could have done without, or, maybe I didn't uh, necessarily need to have. But I do know that even though there was so many, really difficult ones, that I have learned from them, and it's made me the person that I am. And that's how you create peace with it. So while there are many bad things that happen, if you can find some sort of peace with what happened, if you can find some way to say, well, I'm a much more compassionate person because I understand that, because I've been there, then we've produced a little bit of good out of it, just a little bit, right? And to me, that's where I get to the point where it's like, okay, I can understand and I can have compassion, so I can now take that and I can move forward, right? So if you can do that, if you can look at the things that you're doing in your life, that you went through in your life, and you can find some sort of way to uh, make you a better person, then you have found the gift in it. You have found the gift. Okay. So when you, as far as the intuition goes, you can also start practicing the intuition. You can start, um, I had one person who would kind of try to, like, you got to do it without getting the calculator out. So what they would do is, and actually they got pretty close. I was pretty surprised. So come their paycheck, because they didn't know the exact hours and minutes, what they would do is they would start trying to psychically tell what their paycheck was going to be, almost down to like, the cents. So it's going to be $135.42. You can start to do that. You can, an easy way to do it is you can take a deck of cards and just a regular deck of playing cards, and you can try to guess which card you're going to flip over. That's another way to kind of try to build your psychic ability. What's really happening though is that because everything is energy, is you can do it by walking into a room, and you don't notice that you're already doing that. You really don't. Like when you walk into a room, you can sense what's going on already. You can, so try it when you go into work. Okay, go into work, just walk into the office, don't really say much, but just kind of take note. And I guarantee that you can already tell that one office person who's kind of grumpy today, or maybe they're a little off today. They don't even really even said anything to you. You're just walking into office. But just kind of take note. Sally seems a little grumpy, right? That's psychic ability. That's intuition. That's you reading the energy in the room. You don't even really have to, um, do all kinds of crazy things with it. Just start practicing there. Just start practicing reading the energy in the room. And what you'll probably find is that you're already doing it. You're already reading people in the room. You're already kind of testing out, seeing how people are feeling, how they're going to act, how they're going to react, what their emotions are. Even if you're at somebody's house or you're at a gathering and you notice that somebody's grumpy, you don't really approach them much, right? You just kind of stay back because they feel kind of grumpy. They haven't really said much. That's reading energy. So try practicing all of that. All right. So any other questions? I can't see the chat. Candace, can you see the chat? I should be able to see the chat, shouldn't I? I don't know if I can. I can't see it. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the group. If you want to know any other things, you can put them in the group. Any topics that you want, bring them up. If you guys want, we can talk about energy more next week. We can talk about the chakra system. We can talk about that more. And then we can go on more about the self-esteem and reducing the emotions. Okay, so I hope everybody has a great night, a great week, and I'm going to talk to you next week. Oh, question was from before. Okay. All right. So, guys, ask me questions, okay? Please ask me more questions so I have more things to talk about. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great night.